a family of four. My mom and dad got married very young. My dad had my sister and I in a one-bedroom house on 86th and Sangamon in the Harlem Gresham neighborhood of Chicago. And at a very young age, I showed a propensity for technology. I loved tech as a kid. I'm old enough, and some of you all may be old enough to remember the Atari ColecoVision set, the one that you had to detach. And it didn't always work the best. You had to blow the cartridge and bang the cartridge. But back then, I showed a direct aptitude for math and science, and it was something that I loved. And my parents, although they didn't have a lot of money at all, they invested in me in love and opportunity. And my dad gave me the opportunity to learn technology. Now we circle back to 1992, and my dad decided to get us a Packard Bell 486 SF whopping fast computer. I think now all of our cell phones are faster than this computer was. But that computer was the first time and opportunity I had to start to learn how to code at 12. And I actually bought this game. It was called Michael Jordan in Flight. It was the first game that actually acquired a Pentium processor. Now I might nerd out a little bit. I think we got some STEM lovers in the room. But the game required a Pentium processor. Our computer didn't have it. I ended up doing something and getting into the root file and folders of the computer, and I broke it. Broke this computer that my parents worked hard to give me. My dad and I spent probably the next 3 or 4 weeks figuring out how to fix it. Got a new motherboard and a processor. And from that opportunity, we both learned how not just to build our own machines, but learned how to write code. It actually changed my dad's career trajectory, not only mine. At the time, he was working, fixing copiers for Xerox, and then he went on to work at ComEd and became a land administrator there for many years. That sparked my own interest in tech. I went on to have a career in technology as a systems engineer for companies like Atlas Medical. I worked at Quest Diagnostics and LabCorp doing system design for them before pivoting into the work that I do now in Chicago Scholars. So I say that the investment in time, the investment in resources, and the investment in opportunity that we pour into young people matters so much because you never, ever can imagine where they may land. And that's why MYTT is so important. Now, there's also an opportunity now to invest in our young people in a time that we need to invest in our young people. They're walking into one of the hardest seasons in the current environment with regards to the workforce. New college graduates are facing one of the toughest hiring markets in a decade. For recent college grads, unemployment has climbed to the same level as people who never finished college. And more than 4 in 10 are working jobs that do not even require a degree. They did everything we told them to, right? They went to school, they got the degree, and the market met them with a closed door. So I'm not gonna stand in front of you and pretend like the ground that our young people are walking on is steady. It's not. The doors are harder to open than they ever have been in a generation, but that's why we're in this room. Because here's what I know, when the doors close in front of us, we've always done the same thing, we build new ones. And we make sure the next person can see themselves walking through it. That is why mentoring matters. That is why mirrors and windows matter. A mentor is a mirror that lets a young person see themselves in someone who made it. And a window lets them see a future they didn't know to claim. So let me say something I came to say. This is the urgency of now, mentorship. Opening doors and windows and mirrors of opportunity for our young people. Not next year, not when the budget is bigger, not when the time is perfect, but right now. Because the world our young people are about to inherit is being built right now around them, in real time, while we're sitting in this room, and the question on the table is simple. Do we rise to ride on top of the wave of innovation, or do we get washed underneath it? See, when the building is done, and when folks are done building everything, will our children be inside of it, or will they be standing outside looking in? Let me show you what I mean. Black professionals make up about 12% of the American workforce. In tech, we are only about 7 to 8%. And the higher you climb, the thinner the air gets. Only 3% of the executives in the C-suite of tech companies are Black. But MYTT is working to change that. 3%, that's not a pipeline problem. the door is a problem. And it doesn't get better when you try to build the company yourself. Last year, of every dollar of venture capital invested in this country, less than 0.5% went to a startup with a black founder. Less than half of a penny on the dollar. Now, for most black founders, raising even $1 million is a door that almost never opens. I know because I've stood in front of it. Running Reach, we closed a $2 million seed round last year. I don't tell you that to brag, I tell you that because I know exactly how rare it is, and I know it didn't happen because the door swung open on its own. It happened because many people just like you in this room opened it. Mentors, believers, people who saw what we were building and decided we belonged in the room. And that's the point. Talent was never the missing ingredient. Access was. And here is the part that should keep us up at night. Tech jobs are projected to grow at roughly twice the rate of the rest of the economy over the next decade. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics counts about 317,000 new openings in computing every single year. We're even building an entire tech ecosystem, the quantum and microelectronics park, right on the southeast side of the city, where Robert Chicago estimates between 10 and 47,000 new jobs a year over a 10-year period. The future's happening right now. Will we build the building around it? Will we build it with our kids in it or outside of it? The economy is handing out the keys to the next generation of wealth, and our community keeps getting handed a smaller share. That's why what MYTT does matters so much. Now I can stop there. I can let that land as bad news and ask you to feel sad about it, but that's not why we are here. Because there's a second number, and this one changes everything. When researchers studied who is actually adopting artificial intelligence the fastest, they found something that headlines missed. Black workers and learners are leading. In one regional national study, 83% of black respondents said that they were already familiar with AI, higher than the overall population. More than half were using the tools every week, and the number one reason they gave was self-directed learning. We're growing, we're teaching ourselves. Reaching for the future with both hands before anyone ever offered it to us. Sit with that. The same community that's been locked out of the room is now teaching its